So what is up, guys? This is Troy D from the Troy D 24/7 Mall channel, your source for on point and no hype reviews. We are back again, everybody. We're back with another fragrance review right here, guys, on my lovely day off. I had a great weekend. First and foremost, happy Father's Day, belated happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. Had a great weekend. Hope you guys had a great weekend too. Anyways, today I'm back on the grind. I will be talking about another designer fragrance that really the OG of this fragrance is very popular in the fragrance community. And today we'll be talking about the 2025 flanker to that one. There's a lot of missing notes, a lot of really, missing notes. They're pretty cagey about the notes on this one, but there's a lot of feedback that do confirm my findings after testing this fragrance for a few times. Anyways, I will be breaking this down fully, no hype, right here. Let's go. Now, before I continue, please do not forget to like and subscribe, guys, okay? Liking, subscribing, watching the ads, and purchasing from our affiliate links and our partners of the channel is very important because it does help me buy a lot of samples along the way, okay? So I'm testing like 6 fragrances right now as we speak. So please continue all your support, guys. Deep dive into my over 800 videos, no hype videos, no hype breakdowns, guys, and of course my expanding designer playlist just in case you're into designer. Thank you so much for all your support. And the fragrance that we'll be talking about today is none other than the latest Montblanc Explorer flanker for 2025. This is none other than Montblanc Explorer Extreme. That's right, Montblanc Explorer Extreme. Now this one is the latest flanker to the OG Montblanc Explorer, mostly compared to Aventus by many people in the fragrance community, guys, okay? So the thing about this one right here is that, you don't really get a lot of notes, all right? If you go to any website that's selling this product, you will only get mostly bergamot at the top, lavender in the mid, and some amber accord in the dry down. And we all know, looking at the feedback that this fragrance has been getting, that doesn't really match up completely. Okay, and really this whole being cagey about it is really, I don't like it. My personal opinion is that it's actually going to hurt the marketing and sales of these products, because so what if people actually know what they're smelling? If you actually put out the real notes out there and people come to the conclusion that this one smells like this or this one smells like that, so what? It's actually better that it's compared to something versus, you're going to put some really ambiguous list and then people actually compare it to something that's not like that, right? So I think that, companies, I don't know if y'all are watching, but y'all should stop, y'all should quit being very cagey, very minimal about the actual notes of your product, because really people know what they're smelling. You don't have to be an expert or a guru to know what you are smelling, okay, guys? So, in my opinion, people know what they're smelling. You don't have to be cagey about it. So please put out the real notes. Anyways, today I will address this thing right here. I'm going to give you guys the notes that I do smell on this fragrance right here. And of course, I'm going to address the comparisons that the community has basically said about this fragrance. Okay, smells like this, smells like that. Okay, what's up with that? Anyways, let's go spray this thing right now and find out right now. Okay, guys, now let's talk about this fragrance right here, the latest flanker to Montblanc Explorer Extreme, okay, for 2025, starting with this opening that I actually really like. So this opening, guys, the first part, they got it right. It is bergamot, okay? Bergamot does come in the beginning of this scent. It is a bright, mood-enhancing, tart and crisp type of bergamot. I would say it comes in like a ray of sunlight, and it is a mood-enhancing bergamot indeed, guys, okay? Now, bergamot on its own will not last more than, I would say, 5 minutes. Okay, because slowly the warm embrace of the other notes start coming in within 5 minutes. Now, does the bergamot actually die? No, it doesn't. It actually lingers on for a while. I would say even up to 45 minutes, but it does, of course, get out of the spotlight within, 5 minutes of wearing this fragrance. So that's one thing I do want to say. So you get a lively blast of bergamot, and then within 5 minutes, here come the blanket notes, okay? So the blanket notes to me are gonna be black pepper, lavender, oak moss, and LME resin. Okay, so it is these notes that really come in and start slowly blanketing this bergamot right here. Again, not saying that the bergamot disappears, it becomes a lingering, secondary bergamot to this warm and cozy, slow embrace by the other notes. Now, you've got black pepper, you've got lavender. So the fusion of that plus the bergamot gives Aventus Absolute comparisons. So I'm not gonna say, okay, those people are wrong that are saying it kind of smells like Aventus Absolute, because it is the merger of spicy lavender and a bergamot note that is actually strong in the beginning. So the fact that the bergamot actually weakens in and goes under that blanket, it goes to show that this lavender and spice combination is actually, you can say, like potent enough to do that. And so you have in the beginning parts of this opening a merger of that. That's why there's that Aventus Absolute comparison. Again, you have the contrast of bergamot with the nice warm embrace of that pepper and lavender coming in. Now, another thing that I noticed right here in this intro, because now if you're going to talk about Aventus Absolute, is that you're also going to talk about Dior Sauvage Elixir, all right, which is the other thing that a lot of people are comparing this to. Now, the big difference is that this opening is a lot more woodsier, and there's definitely a very subliminal green oak moss right here that adds to the LME resin. So it's like woody and slightly green and foresty. Really, at the backdrop, it's very, very subliminal compared to the stronger lavender, uplifting lavender and spice, and the bergamot. It's actually secondary, but the overall feel that you'll get is that it feels woodsier. It feels more woodsier, natural woodsier than, you know, Sauvage Elixir, which really has a lot of spice. It's really got a lot of strength. This one is much more woodsier, which I like because it didn't have that super strong oomph that Elixir has. But like I said, it really depends on how you're wearing the fragrance, guys. But for me, I thought about this as something I could like safely, casually wear and stack up the compliments, and that's exactly what happened thanks to the woodsier profile of this one. I'm gonna compare this more to Dior Sauvage Eau Forte, which I recently reviewed not too long ago. This one was the Sauvage that was, you could say, milder and much more safer than the strong, you know, Ultraman punch of the Elixir. This one is what I would compare more to Elixir on this one right here. Now, like I said, you are gonna get a 45-minute coverage of that lingering bergamot still there. So it's not fully like that. And again, the woodsier profile makes it a lot more safer to use and much more milder to a degree. Some people might not like that, but then again, that's what Sauvage Elixir is for. This fragrance right here is pretty safe, and it's actually like a slow seducer of the room. That's how I would categorize this one. It's a slow seducer. This is one where you would actually subtly come across as, you know, hey, hello, good morning, but then you have those really nice, appealing complement factor types of smells, the spices, the lavender, and the woods. And let me tell you guys that this fragrance right here, Montblanc Explorer Extreme, is actually one of my most complimented fragrances out there. Just on the testing phase alone, I've had people literally stop talking to acknowledge that I smell good. And again, it's no surprise because the formulas here, it's not just one bergamot top note. Hello, you've got lavender, you've got spices, you've got really nice woods, a nice LME resin oak moss combination right here that is very gentlemanly in its approach. And so I got a ton of compliments wearing this one. Actually, I've been wearing designers all weekend, and I realize now why a lot of people love designers, because really you will get back-to-back compliments, such as when I was wearing this one. Okay, now let's talk about initial sillage and projection of this one. This fragrance to me was a nice aura scent, of course, with draw-in properties, the spiciness, the aromatics, the lavender, right? I mean, all of this will really bring people in. So it's, again, a slow seducer to the room. But again, to me, this one had a nice aura scent to it. It was not weak whatsoever. Again, for those looking for Sauvage, when we talk about Sauvage Elixir, again, we're talking about intensity rather than, you know, just strength. There's strength, like a really strong, like projecting scent, but also its intensity, which this one is a little bit tweaked to something much more, you can say, milder and easy to digest type of intensity. Okay, so definitely this one though, great sillage and projection. Okay, now let's talk about the mid right here of Montblanc Explorer Extreme. This fragrance, really there's nothing much to see here in the mid because it's really a combination of spices and lavender and woods going into the mid, because of course, you know, it feels like the intro part was a preview of those notes, although those were very prominent, but those definitely continue into the mid, which means you get more of the same going down the line a few hours into this fragrance, which is something that a lot of people will like, because like I said, if you've been getting the extreme amount of compliments that I've been getting wearing this fragrance, then well, it will continue for the next how many hours? Like 6 hours of wearing this fragrance right here. So again, this is more of like a continuity of the intro, minus I would say that bergamot, which goes away in 45 minutes, guys. This is gonna be that nice warm embrace, that nice like toned down elixir type of smell that does have a more concentrated woods and oak moss combination. A woodsier Sauvage elixir that's lesser on the intensity. This one goes on for the entirety of the mid right here. Okay, so now let's talk about the dry down of this fragrance right here. Again, they were pretty cagey about this dry down, but you know, on the official notes, this one has the most notes, okay? You've got vetiver, you've got leather, and you've got amber, okay? So I will say this, that to me, the dry down of this definitely has ambroxan. Okay, and this ambroxan is, you know, although it's not as strong as Dior Sauvage Elixir, this ambroxan right here does help push the performance, you know, go past, you know, the usual on a lot of designer fragrances. Ambroxan is definitely helpful. And then you're also going to get patchouli. You're going to get the dark, woody, tenacious patchouli right here. You're going to get some smoky and earthy vetiver, and you will get some musk as well. You know, right? So to me, this is somewhat of an ambroxan style ending with some smokiness, some woods. They said that there's leather here, but for me, it's kind of non-existent. I really couldn't smell that leather compared to the combination of, say, ambroxan, patchouli, and vetiver that continues on this fragrance. But I will tell you this, guys, that again, much like the opening, the ambroxan is not intense. It's more of like a nice, warm, like ambery, musky hug that goes at the end of this fragrance, and in my opinion, helps with the performance of Montblanc Explorer Extreme. So definitely an ambroxan, woody, smoky, earthy ending to this fragrance. Totally makes sense, as this is kind of marketed as kind of like a dark fragrance. Okay, so really nice dry down on this one. Okay, so what do I think of this fragrance right here, Montblanc Explorer Extreme? I quite like it. Okay, I like it. Can't say nothing, but it's a nice fragrance indeed. And that is based on, you know, the versatility, the usage, every time I got to wear it, and of course the reactions that I got from people, very positive, a lot of compliments. I think that, you know, this is a pretty sweet fragrance. Does it smell like other things? Of course it does smell like other things, but the way that it's compared to those other things, there's different tweaks out here that make this fragrance right here different. Like, for example, if you look at Aventus Absolu, I mean, Aventus Absolu has a better, you could say, contrast between the Sauvage-like type of notes as well as the citrusy notes. There's a difference right there. But also, Aventus Absolu is expensive. All right, it's pretty expensive. And, you know, that's where Precious One comes in. I like Precious One. So if you like Aventus Absolu a lot more, that kind of profile and combination, there's also Precious One, you know, CDNIM for something cheaper, right? And if we compare this again to Dior Sauvage Elixir, that other one is definitely more intense, a lot more, you know, impact related. You come in the room, it definitely takes over the entire presence of the room. This one right here is a slow seducer. This is a gentlemanly, mild-mannered gentleman with a slow seduction factor right here, with a high compliment factor as well. So this is kind of on its own still, even if it kind of smells like those other things. And to me, like I said, I like the woodsier profile. I was one of the very few reviewers that said Dior Sauvage Forte was nice, and that's because I understood the reason why they did it. It's like a slow seducer, gentlemanly type of fragrance. That's not necessarily, hugging all the attention in the room. The balance too of this fragrance is something to consider, okay? It's not a super extreme thick blanket that will restrict this fragrance to just the fall winter season. Although you are going to get spices, ambroxan, what have you, you still have a strong lavender absolute right here. You have a nice amount of woods and mosses, and even in the dry down right here, the ambroxan, like I said, is more for performance rather than a strong blanket. So that increases the versatility of this one that you could wear, I think, anytime, anywhere, even with the presence of spices and what have you, because of the balance right here. And because of that, guys, usage-wise, this is going to be a great grabber, just like, the other, kind of like brothers or cousins of this fragrance right here. It's going to be a versatile grabber, but mostly because you want to be in a nice spicy mood. All right, again, slow seducer, high compliment factor on this one. I think you can wear it anytime, anywhere. That increases, the buying factor of this fragrance, Montblanc Explorer Extreme. And finally, let's talk about the total performance of this one. So like I said, the ambroxan really does help push the performance of this one beyond the 12-hour mark. So for me, I got to smell this one past the 12 hours with the dry down notes, ambroxan, vetiver, patchouli. Like I said, that was more for longevity. Okay, it's not more of the intensity, but it's for longevity. So this fragrance right here, you will get to smell it for past 12 hours, which is pretty amazing for a designer scent. I'm actually currently reviewing or testing a designer scent right here that to me really went up to 10 hours only. So I would say that the ambroxan factor here does help in the longevity of Montblanc Explorer Extreme. And finally, let's look at the cost of this fragrance and is it a full bottle worthy fragrance? Okay, so this one is pretty cheap. Okay, looking at Selfridges, it's like $110 for like 100 ml, and that's a lot of sprays, a lot of usage. Only people I can see complaining about this are those that actually have a lower price bracket or budget on fragrances. So if you like, $30 to $50 on your pricing, either get a decant of this one or, maybe get a clone of Aventus Absolute, which I believe Precious One is a really nice clone of that. I don't collect a lot of clones. I'm not super updated on the clones, but I thought that that was a solid one in terms of Aventus Absolute. But this one, I think it's nice. Okay, it's an okay type of fragrance, although albeit redundant with other things. Still, ultimately, the product, it's a nice, compliment grabbing type of fragrance that you can wear anytime, anywhere. And the performance wasn't a bust on this one. To me, again, over 12 hours. So it makes it a solid buy if you don't have anything, in your arsenal that kind of smells like it. Okay. So I think it's a nice release by Montblanc right here. Again, although it has elements of other things and they were cagey about the notes, it's still a solid perfume to me. I like it. And that is it. That is my no hype review on the latest Montblanc Explorer flanker right here, Explorer Extreme. Let me know in the comments below what y'all think of this fragrance. Did you buy it the soonest that you smelled it in the boutiques? Did you blind buy it? Do you like it, or do you think it's redundant to the said fragrances, Aventus Absolute and Sauvage Elixir? Let me know in the comments below. There are no right or wrong answers as long as you are respectful on the comments. It will stay. And I will review more designer scents, guys. Okay, I got the new YSL coming in, as well as, right now I am testing Davidoff Cool Elixir. And I do want to test that new Drakkar because that is, my dad's like grabber, my all-time grabber, my dad's all-time grabber. And it is a new flanker for Drakkar. I do want to test that as well. So hang on tight. I got a few designers right here to talk to you guys about. And of course, we've got the new Raja Oceania Parfum. That is coming up as well. I'm testing that right now as well. So hang on tight. There's a lot more coming. Please do not forget to like and subscribe and follow the channel. God bless. Take care. Peace.